This video will contain some spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home, so if you've yet to see the film yet, this is your warning. So after I watched Spider-Man No Way Home, I kind of had this idea in my head. If you would take the plot and the characters from that film, but instead make them Star Wars characters, how would that go? Now I just want to say, this will never happen in Star Wars canon. I mean, like a kind of special, like an animated special, sure, why not? But in terms of actually making this into an actual film, with it being part of the canon, this is not going to happen. But this is my what-if scenario if this happened. Taking the plot of No Way Home and conforming it into a Star Wars plot. So, this film's going to take place, and this is what if. We're doing like a basic summary of the film. I'm not going to go over every little detail that would happen in the film, but in this hypothetical, I'm going to give a basic rundown of what I think could happen in this. So, the film would have to take place after the Rise of Skywalker. It's going to be with Rey. And the end of Rise of Skywalker, she's going to build her new Jedi Order, but she wants to talk to the past Jedi, which she did once before in the Rise of Skywalker, but now she can't anymore. And she's doing the same message that she did back in the film. You may say this is a repeat of Rise of Skywalker, not necessarily. Hang in there. So then she goes to Maz Kanata, which is a Doctor Strange in this scenario, on this new alien planet that she's at. This is going to be like a couple years after the Rise of Skywalker, let's just say. And you then have Maz Kanata be like, hey, welcome to my new place. How you doing, Rey? No time, no see. Rey's like, I need to talk to the Force Ghosts. And, well, the reason why she's going to Maz, because I believe that Maz is Force sensitive, and like, I believe that she was a Jedi at some point, which I'm gonna assume that she is. I think she's like 1,000 years old, I believe, older than Yoda. I believe. I could be wrong on that, I don't know where I heard that from, but that's my headcanon, so I'm gonna be using it here. Maz's age and her possibly being a Jedi. That's what I'm assuming. Well, that's what I'll make, actually. If I was the director of this film, I'll be like, screw it, make Maz a Jedi, why not? She's like, alright, I have a way to try to get Force Ghosts to talk. That's what I'm experimenting with here on this planet. Let's assume that. And so they go down to her basement, and she grabs like this kyber crystal type thing. Now I'm getting this from the Lego holiday special, where Rey used this crystal thing to time travel to different parts, or create a portal to time travel to different areas in the Star Wars universe. That is not canon, but I'm going to use that to a more logical way. So, Maz going to be using that in a little cauldron, or whatever, like you see in No Way Home. And she starts doing a spell, or whatever, a little thing to try to contact the Force Ghosts. And Rey messes up the spell like Peter does in No Way Home, and everything goes kablam. Everything splits. And Maz gets angry. She's like, "Why did you do that, Rey?" Then Maz gets all upset, and Rey says, "What was I supposed to do? I need their help." Then Maz goes, "Can you do anything else to get knowledge of the Force and Jedi and to rebuild the Order?" And then Maz says, "No, you have books to read about it." And Rey's like, "The books, maybe they have something about it." And Maz's like, "Really? Could have used the books. They didn't need me then." So Rey actually goes then back to her temple that she built, I'm assuming, or is pre-built on some planet. Which, that's what I'm assuming. Rey's gonna have a temple of her own, and she's starting it up but doesn't know how to do so. So she goes back, but she gets a message or a dial or a beep from Finn, who said that there is a conflict on Utapau. And Rey's like, "What? Utapau? What's that? What planet's that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's in the far regions." And when you get there, there's this crazy Jedi causing chaos. So Rey quickly gets in their speeder and quickly goes to Utapau. And when she gets there, she sees this figure with 4 lightsabers just wrecking havoc. And she gets down and sees it, and it's none other than General Grievous. Yes, General Grievous. So, Rey then confronts General Grievous. This is similar to the Peter and Doc Ock fight in the film. And then, right before Grievous is about to take Rey out, he gets stunned. Grievous gets stunned, and it turns out to be Maz stunning him and to kind of put him in a little jail, or the jail that we see in No Way Home. The equivalent would be like putting a ray shield to kind of stop them from exiting. So, but we see another figure appear right before they leave, which is Kylo Ren. And Rey is like, oh my god, that can't be Kylo Ren. What the hell? Why is he here? And right before Kylo Ren starts like to investigate, and Maz stuns him as well. So they go back to the temple, put a ray shield on. They do it in the basement, so no one's suspicious about it. And they're trying to realize what happened. Maz like, the spell that we did, this thing. We want to talk to the Force Ghosts, but the villains that these Force Ghosts fought are now here. That is what I'm doing, this plot connection. Because in No Way Home, it's like the villains who knew Peter Parker as Spider-Man went to the MCU timeline. But in this Star Wars version, it's the Force Ghosts who fought these villains are here. And so Rey's like anyone else. Then we get another message from Poe this time, who says, Rey, there's this conflict on another planet that's new, that I'm going to introduce in Star Wars, if I directed this, a new planet. And so, but this is different, no one's causing havoc, it was actually a signal that was caused by an unknown figure, and you need to investigate it because it seems really bad. And so Rey and Maz go out to this new planet, and they see a dark figure lurking. And so Rey and Maz, when they land, they confront this figure, and it turns out to be Darth Vader. And Vader is confused on why he is here on this planet. When they're talking, another person shows up, which is Maul. Just starts attacking Rey, because she's just a Jedi. He doesn't want her to know about this. He's just attacking her now. But then Vader steps in and says, no, we have to help. She knows what's going on here. She's a Jedi. Maybe she knows what's happening. And Rey does. But Maz comes in and stuns both of them for plot convenience. Just why not? And then there's four, but in No Way Home there's 5 villains. So who's the 5th one then? I'll get to that later. So the villains I've chose are Maul, this is Maul, Darth Maul from Rebels, Vader from Return of the Jedi, Grievous from Revenge of the Sith, and Kylo Ren from Prior to the Force Awakens. Those are the 4 villains that I chose. Now the 5th one's special. And after Rey and Maz capture everyone, put them in the ray shields in the basement of the new Jedi Temple, there's now another comm link that's sent to Rey about this person in Coruscant trying to get into his office. And you probably know where this is going. Rey gets there, and it's Poe who's kind of like directing Palpatine now. Yes, Palpatine. Away from the office, Palpatine's confused. But this is Palpatine from Attack of the Clones. So this is before the Clone Wars began. This is Palpatine from Attack of the Clones. Just FYI. So these different time period versions of these characters do come in play later. So Palpatine knows he's in this new time period, so he has to be very sneaky about it. Rey has a funny feeling about him, but he can't put her finger on it. And Palpatine's like, what's going on? What is this? Why can't I get to my office? They bring him back, because he is technically a villain. So they do bring him back, unbeknownst that he is a villain. But they do bring him back, because he doesn't know what's going on. And so they're bringing them back to the Jedi Temple. Now back at the temple, the villains are having a conversation of their own, similar to No Way Home, where all the villains have their own conversations. And Maul is the one that's actually doing most of the conversation. Like, the conversation, imagine a conversation that will be had with Maul, Vader, Grievous, and Kylo Ren. Like, imagine that conversation. Like, that'll be very wild. But Darth Maul's talking about, at the end of the conversation, talking about Palpatine, how he's not here to stop them, which is good. But then, when they go down the steps, Palpatine with Rey and Maz and everyone else, Maul's like, oh crap. So he's like all freaking out, but Rey doesn't know what's going on. And Palpatine's also like, he's faking it though. Because he's trying to manipulate everyone. He's like, oh, I don't know who you are, who are any of you? Which is kind of the truth, he doesn't know who, like, 3 of them are, but he knows Maul. And Maul's freaking out, but and he's telling Rey he's Palpatine, he's a Sith Lord, he's gonna kill us all. Palpatine, this is similar to Green Goblin, where the Green Goblin was nice, or he acted nice until he became sinister. His true colors come out, and bad stuff happened then, which eventually does. I'm just gonna skip the part where Palpatine turns evil, because Palpatine turns evil, and he reveals that he's a Sith Lord, and he basically says, villains, you can join me, but Maul's trying to kill him as well. So Maul's like, no, I'm gonna kill him. So he tries to, but fails. Prior to Palpatine being evil, then Palpatine does become evil, and then he's like, villains, join me, and Kylo Ren and Grievous bow their knees down to Palpatine, but Vader is like, no, we need to go back to our own time periods, and Palpatine, you need to go back to your time period, I'll go back to mine. But Palpatine's like, no, I know who you are. I know, because Palpatine doesn't know that Vader's Anakin. Well, he does, because he senses it, which I find interesting, that Palpatine would know, because he senses Anakin and Vader. So, he's like, I know who you are, I know what I did to you in the future, and you have no option here, you're forced to do what I say. Then Vader contemplates that, then a couple of seconds later he bows his knee, because he realizes that he is screwed. So, Palpatine has 3 minions, and they all escape to Coruscant. Rey's defeated. Maul's escaped that. He doesn't want any part of that. He escaped. He's running away. The galaxy is now doomed. Rey runs away, actually, because she's just defeated. So it's up to Poe and Finn and Maz to kind of save the galaxy. And so they're all like, what do we do? Sit down, they're contemplating, and Maz is like, hey, maybe we can get Rey back. We can find her, and so Maz uses a crystal that she used in the beginning of this story, and she opens up this portal, and another figure pops in, and that is Anakin Skywalker. Now, he's surprised, everyone's surprised, they're like, who is he? But this is Anakin from Attack of the Clones. Then shortly after, Luke shows up, and Anakin and Luke have a conversation about him being his son, and Anakin's like, oh, I got married and dated Padme and had children, that's great. And then Obi-Wan shows up after that, and he's like, oh my god, Obi-Wan, Anakin's like, oh, Obi-Wan, why'd you shave your mullet? He's like, oh, I did that at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and Anakin's like, the Clone Wars? And Luke's like, wait a minute, Obi-Wan, why are you so young? This is a funny bit, similar to what it was when the 2 Peter Parkers showed up. Then there's another person that shows up, and that is, to a surprise, Qui-Gon. And there's an emotional moment between Anakin and Qui-Gon in the film. I'm not going to harp on it too much. In this scenario, they have emotional thing. Obi-Wan and Anakin does. Luke doesn't know, but Qui-Gon's like, Luke, you're going to be a good Jedi in the future. I just know it. Giving that motivation, pat in the back, even though he has no idea who he is. But then they go to Rey, which Rey is actually on Ahch-To. And the reason they get there is because Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Luke all meditate to try to find Rey. They're very in tune with the Force. They go and get Rey on Ahch-To, similar to the Rise of Skywalker, where she went there in that film because she failed. Then they talk to Rey. She's like, look, the Jedi are based on failure, where we all failed at some point. And to Luke, it's like, yeah, the Jedi failed. They lost the Clone Wars. But to move the story along, they all get together, similar to what it was in No Way Home, when the 2 Peter Parkers convinced the MCU Peter Parker to kind of get back in the fight. And like in that film, they have a big battle. Everyone fights. There's a lot of back and forth. And throughout this whole battle, there is like interactions with other members. Like Luke and Vader have a moment. Anakin and Vader have a moment. Obi-Wan and Grievous continue their battle that they had in Utapau. That's why Grievous was on Utapau, because he was fighting Obi-Wan and they got sucked into the future. So they're continuing their battle. Rey fights Palpatine, but she gets her butt kicked. So it's up to Anakin to fight Palpatine, and he defeats him. The Chosen One defeats Palpatine, just like the prophecy says. And so that kind of bookends that with the whole prophecy thing. I think it's kind of cool. So in this story, Palpatine's the only one that actually dies. Once Palpatine's defeated, they all stop, and it's up to Maz to bring all of them back to their timelines, and they do that successfully. And Rey learns a lot about the Jedi, because she actually did speak to them. It's just the villains also came back. So that's basically my story on what would this hypothetical what if scenario would happen. Now, I didn't explain it in the best possible way, because, I'm trying not to make this a half hour long, but hopefully I did the basics of what I wanted to do, because I had a lot more that I wanted to say, but I kind of shortened it because it wasn't a lot that interesting. So, that's my what if. Like I said, this is never going to be canon. That is just way too fanfiction-y and not Star Warsy to have characters from prior installments that come together to fight villains from prior installments. That's so many plot holes and just stuff that's wrong. Like, how does the time travel work? Do they remember stuff? I just assume they're from different timelines and they're going back to their own timeline. But having No Way Home into Star Wars does not work, and it should never be a film unless it's another Lego special or an animated special. That's not canon. Yeah, hopefully you're not lost in the story, but I have a feeling that some of you may be, because I'm not the best at storytelling, but whatever. But I'm gonna go now, so goodbye everyone.